Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another short series this time around. And just like I did for my qualifying exam, I wanted to do a little bit of a gradual update as I worked on my F31 Federal Grant. So for those of you who do not know, the F31 is a federal grant. Normally it funds a couple of years of graduate study, and you have to write a full proposal, you have to write a bio sketch, sponsor letters, all that good stuff, lots of moving pieces, lots of parts, a very long document. And I'm working on submitting mine for the spring deadline. So just to kind of establish what that looks like, we have an internal deadline of March 18th. So I first need to get everything submitted, at least as much as I can submitted by March 18th. And then the final deadline is April 1st. The actual final deadline is April 8th, but April 1st is when everything is due to Harvard Medical School so that they can check everything, make sure it's all good to go, and hopefully send off the application packet to the government. So I'm starting this series so that I can kind of track this progress as I get through this last month of doing and working on this grant. Today is March 5th. I'm going to have 3 questions that I'll keep revisiting for each of these vlog updates. And so the first question is, what stage is my proposal at? The second question is there anything that I'm concerned about at this very moment? And the last piece is, how do I feel? So I'll start with the first question. What stage is my written proposal? I'm almost at the stage of having a complete comprehensive draft. What does that mean? I really just mean fixing all of the text and any of the things that my PI has specifically brought to my attention, embedding my figures, which is probably the biggest thing. I've been working on my figures on a separate document just so I could keep track of what figures I thought I would need, but now it's time for me to embed those figures into the document, which means that I also need to cut some text, maybe cut some figures, because I'm not gonna have enough space. The proposal is supposed to be 6 pages for the main research statement part of it. So yeah, we're gonna be working on trimming that probably next week. But for right now, I'm working on getting this last bit of editing done to the text and add in all of my figures, or at least my draft figures. I will have a lab review session in place of lab meetings. So I'm gonna print out my specific aims page and just talk through what the proposal looks like right now, and hopefully get any general feedback if there's any glaring red flags, kind of addressing those, but really just trying to get into the nitty gritty. That's going to be literally right before the proposal is due. So I don't want to get too many edits, and there's a lot that I need to implement by that next Wednesday when the internal application is due. So is there anything I'm concerned about at the moment? Yes, and I think it's really just the amount of pieces that I haven't been able to work on. So as I mentioned at the beginning, there are sponsor letters, there are recommendation letters. Sponsor letters and recommendation letters are 2 different things. So the sponsor letters are any cores, other labs, people that will be helping me with different parts and pieces of making sure this project moves forward. So that's going to be the statistics core, the people I work with for microscopy. I'm getting a mouse line from a certain lab. So I need to make sure I'm getting all those pieces together. But thankfully, my PI will be helping with some of those. Also, the letters of recommendation. So I have my I need to just ask those people for the letters at this stage. I don't think I've formally asked them for the letters yet, but luckily those are not too heavy of a pull. In addition to that, I need to work on a bio sketch. There's other just parts and pieces of the application online that I need to click through and make sure that I have all of the information filled out correctly, and probably go over that with my PI as well. So those are some of the things that I'm concerned about, but luckily those things do not take nearly as long as the actual written proposal. The written proposal piece is the heaviest load and takes the longest to work on, because you really want to make sure you're presenting your science in the best way possible, especially when it comes to the specific aims page, which is basically that entire 6-page document shortened into a single page, which you can imagine is pretty tough to do, but very doable. And so how do I feel at this stage? So I'm not going to lie to you, I feel much better than I did 1, 2, 3 weeks ago, because last week is when I finally got a full draft of it done, of just all the written text that I thought would be most important. Up until then, I felt really, really behind. Realistically, it's because I had the flu 2 or 3 weeks ago, and that really sucked because I wasn't able to work on my proposal, which really put me behind, at least in my head, and not really on the schedule that I wanted to be on. But it's okay, because I'm still in a great place and the proposal is definitely moving forward. It's just a matter of finishing up all these things that I mentioned to make sure I could be successful. I'm also really, really excited and inspired because one of my senior grad students defended her PhD today. And so that just kind of gave me like, light at the end of the tunnel and like keeping myself motivated for whenever I get to that stage, hopefully within this next year. So that is all that's going to be in this first episode of honestly just giving you all an update of what it's looking like preparing for my F31 submission. And this is, again, a little bit of a diary for myself so I can see and reflect on how these things went. But if you have any questions, always leave that down in the comment section down below. I'm sure I'll say that in the other videos as well. But that's it, at least for this first day. And I'll at least record another 3 more videos before I finish this series. So hang tight. You're going to see me in just a minute. Hello, and welcome to another quick update video regarding my grant progress. I'm just going to jump right into the video. What stage is my written proposal? So let me start by saying I actually did not record a video last week. So today is actually March 20th. And at this point, I have passed the internal deadline. And the internal deadline is really just an opportunity for our grants office to have a chance to look at all of our application pieces, see what we're missing, see if there's anything that's not in the correct format, and address those things before the final internal deadline, which is April 1st, and the final deadline, which is April 8th. So what stage is my written proposal at? It's submitted partially. And honestly, I say partially because just about everything that I submitted is a draft. This proposal for this grant is a 50+ page long document. Yes, some of these pages are little check boxes and things that you do online, but let's just say that out of those 50 pages, about 25 pages, maybe more, are things that I need to write. And it is honestly extremely overwhelming, and it is a lot. So I was able to kind of submit whatever I had in that moment, and some things I didn't even get to submitting. So now my grants person is like, you did not submit this thing. And I'm like, I know, I'm trying to get there. So now that I have kind of gotten past that internal deadline and like taken a little bit of a brain break, I'm gonna revisit all of that and make sure I have all of that other documentation and get all of my revisions done and all that good stuff. Is there anything that I'm concerned about at this current moment? So first and foremost, I think it's really just getting a decent secondary draft or whatever version draft this is out to the various people that I would like to get feedback from on it. And there's like just so many pieces and parts of this grant in general that I don't even know if I'll be able to get feedback from multiple people on all of these application pieces. And some things that are getting submitted are not necessarily things that have to be like written science or anything like that. Like it might just be like, oh, what equipment do you have? Or, oh, what is your vertebrate animal protocol and what kind of things are you doing for that? Like some of that stuff is very straightforward and it doesn't require a lot of revision. I think the thing that's concerning me the most right now is actually just being at Harvard right now, because more than anything, if you look at today's date, again, March 20th, and you look up news from March 20th, I'm not going to say anything else, but it's just a very hard time and a very tumultuous time, for lack of a better word, for being a PhD student at Harvard at this very moment. And so I might just be doing all this work for no reason, in other words, and I hate to put it that way, but that's the truth. And because of that, at this point, I've really just like allowed myself to realize I might just be putting on this work together for no reason and accepted, I can just get it as good as I can. And outside of that, there's literally nothing I can do about the greater forces that are beyond my control. Lastly, how exactly do I feel? So if you want me to be honest, I feel very overwhelmed. I've spoke about this in the past, but I think this grant really made me realize something that I have been trying to wrestle with, but there's no other way to put it. But this degree program and the things that I'm doing for this degree program are just purely not in alignment with what I want for my life. And it honestly drives me crazy. There's no other way for me to put it except it drives me nuts. And as someone who's very artsy, someone that's very creative, someone that literally just had a vocal performance last weekend, like it's just, why? Like I'm spending all my time doing this, being stressed out over it, feeling like it's not good enough, feeling like I'm not good enough for what? Because of my career trajectory and what I want to do, I don't really see a reason to continue grinding so hard or trying to fit into this box that they want me to fit into. It really, again, just drives me crazy. And honestly, I just don't care for this grant for a number of reasons. Like, I have so many things that are very exciting that are in the works for me that are actually in alignment with what I want for my career. And it's very sad to see how much I'm having to put into this grant that is just not what I want to do at all. Not aligned with my life, not aligned with what I see, where I see my life going, where I see my career going. And honestly, there's no other way to put it but saying that it's frustrating. There's no other way to put it except saying that this is a disappointment, that this is like my experience of being a graduate student. I mean, maybe I should have considered more whether or not doing graduate school would have been the right thing for me, or doing a graduate school in this kind of space would have been the right thing for me. But honestly, it just seems like, and this is a soapbox moment, academia is in this space where you are in academia and you're supposed to stay in academia for the rest of your life. And that just does not and has never made any sense to me, because how are you going to tell people that the skills that you get from a PhD program are so transferable and then make absolutely no effort in helping people actually transfer those skills to other careers? And the only thing you want to encourage is careers in academia. It literally just does not make any sense to me. It is two conflicting pieces of information that I'm receiving from basically all sources that have to do with higher education and graduate school training. So I think overall, I feel just disappointed. Like, there's no other way for me to put it. I really, again, I just don't care. Like, this is not something that my life depends on. And unfortunately, it is the only thing that I have been working on for the last about 3 weeks. So at this point, I feel 3 weeks is very generous. How about 3 months, 2 months minimum, a month and a half? I've been spending at least exhausting hours on this grant that, like I said, is just not even in alignment with what I want to do. So I think I can take all this as a lesson, though, and as someone that wants to become a coach and someone wants to be able to guide and mentor other students that are in my position or wanting to stay in academia or whatever that case may be, knowing how to navigate these feelings and this frustration is going to be really important towards me making a successful career in the future. So that's what I can be grateful about when it comes to all this, is just the learning that has come with it. But that is really all I have for today's update. And we'll see what I think next week. I feel like my viewpoint will not really change much, but at this point I have just 2 more videos until the grant is actually due. Is that correct? Or is it 1 more video? See how I'm feeling in the next 2 weeks, but I hope that you enjoyed this update. I will see you in just a few seconds. Welcome back to another update video. Today is March 29th. And we are so close to the finish line for this F31 grant. And so I have a couple of things that I wanted to share with you guys on the progress and how things have been going. Okay, so the first question, as always, is what stage is my written proposal? So first and foremost, I probably talked about this in the last video. I have all these other pieces of documents that had to be worked on. I feel like all of that is really in a good place. The only thing that is not done yet is my science CV, or basically my bio sketch. I need to like go onto this web program and like put in everything that I've done. And then once I have done that, I just like upload that PDF as my bio sketch. A bio sketch, for anyone who doesn't know, is basically a document that gives all of your background in regards to academics, professional conferences, presentations, contributions to science, all that kind of stuff kind of goes in this. And that's why it's called a CV, a curriculum vitae. So once that is done, that'll be kind of like the last thing that needs to be done. That's not the main written proposal. But on regards to the main written science proposal portion, I have gotten some feedback from my PI last night, and it is honestly at a really, really great spot. I'm gonna send it to one more lab mate that has not seen or like been in discussions for it, and get some feedback from her, wrap it all nice in a bow by Wednesday and submit that and be done with it. So honestly, I'm really excited because I'm much closer to the finish line than I was just a few days ago, a few weeks ago. I'm just glad to be almost done with this. Is there anything I'm concerned about at the moment, and how do I feel? I'm gonna combine those 2 questions into one answer for today. So I honestly feel like this grant writing process has taught me a lot of things. I mean, for one, I know that academia is not the place for me for a number of reasons. I just don't really care for this grant writing process. I don't really care for like the way you have to phrase things and what you have to do and what you can't talk about. And I feel like, as I mentioned in the last recording that it's just not in alignment with what I want to be and who I want to become. So I'm glad that this will be the first and last time that I will be applying for this grant. But kind of related to that, I feel like since I've now submitted this grant, and this is a government grant that has like all these bits and pieces to it and all that good stuff, I feel like I have a really good head wrapped around what this grant writing process looks like. And this is likely going to be one of the most challenging grants I will ever write in my life, simply because like I'm going to apply for grants in the future for whatever part of my business or whatever part of things I want to do, whether that's in microscopy, whatever that looks like. But the truth is, like, there is not going to be something that is this intensive where I have to put all this training goals together and all this equipment stuff together and then write this whole scientific research strategy that I'm working on and then put all these other pieces together and work with a mentor to get these pieces and all this, that, and the third. So I'm very proud of myself because this kind of tells me that once this is done, I feel like I can really conquer any type of grant. It's made a lot of other grants that I have applied for, I thought about applying for, or even just submission contests, whatever it is, just seem a lot easier because it's not as involved, it's not as intense. And I feel like I can do anything, which I guess is good. And one last thing that I'll add about how I feel is I think I'm just glad that I'm finally at the finish line and it is in sight. So I'm planning on defending next year. I'm planning on transitioning out of this PhD program within the next year. And I think this is a part of the learning process that needed to happen. I've learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about academia. I've learned a lot about how this stuff works. And I feel like that's just going to make me even better for mentoring, helping other people find alignment in the future. And I think I've also been kind of settling with the fact that this current season that I'm in is a transition season. It's okay if what I'm experiencing right now is not necessarily in alignment with what I want for my career. If anything, this friction is going to create more strength for me to want to move forward. This friction is going to create more purpose and why I want to help the people that I want to help, more credibility, experience in actually doing those things, and helping other people learn how to navigate the things that I struggled with navigating myself during this time. I plan to do one more update video for this, and it will be after I have submitted everything. So stick around for the last video in this vlog series. Hello everyone, and welcome to the last update episode for the vlog series regarding my F31 Federal Grant that I submitted at this point. So I am a little late on recording this video, but that's okay. Today is April 14th. It is almost a week after the final deadline for the grant. And I'm so glad to say and share that not only is the grant completed, but I had kind of some cushion time to actually breathe. I'm really proud of myself because there was only minor errors that needed to be corrected, like the length of the document names or hyperlinks that were in the document that weren't supposed to be there. So I'm really grateful that everything is submitted, everything is done. Actually answers my first question for these videos, which is what stage is my written proposal? It is completed, it is done, it is sent off. All the pieces and parts were able to come together. I got all my letters of recommendation in. It was great. I'm just glad that it's over at this point, quite honestly. Is there anything I'm concerned about at this moment? For the most part, I would say no. I think overall, this experience was very eye-opening towards what academia is and what it is not. And I think maybe I'll record this more in a separate video, but reflecting a lot on realizing like this might not have been the best opportunity for me. This might not have been the best use of my time, just given like what all was involved in it, and just reflecting more on like, why did I really apply or work so hard on the application. I will say that there's definitely some benefits to have worked on the application. Like I have a better idea of the flow for the project, and I have a better idea of what the overarching hypothesis is and how I can make my individual hypotheses that come off of that, which is great. And I'm excited and happy about that. I think it's actually interesting because going through this experience kind of solidified what I actually wanted to do for my career, despite the fact that like this grant did not support that trajectory whatsoever. I did take a lot of time to reflect on what I did want to do and what I do like to do and how I want to do it. And I think that's also really exciting and likely something I'll share probably at my recap of year 4 video in a few months. So stay tuned for that. And how do I feel? Honestly, I just feel relieved. I'm glad that it's done. I'm glad that it's submitted. I'm glad that I can say I have officially submitted one of the most challenging and involved and extraneous grant applications that there is out there. And I know, yes, it only gets harder and all that kind of stuff, but for the fact that most people don't even get to graduate school in the first place, like, this is definitely a very, very challenging grant. And I feel like knowing what this grant entailed and navigating into other spaces where I might be doing grant applications and things like that, this has given me all the confidence that I needed of, yeah, I could do any grant that I want to. I can apply for anything I want to, because nothing is going to compare to this grant that I just submitted. I hope that you enjoyed this series and you learned a thing or two. Feel free to leave some comments down below if you have any questions about how I went about planning and completing my federal grant, how I made my timeline to try to hit all my feedback points, and how I even navigated just getting the flu in the middle of all of this and like trying to like recenter and refocus on it. Like, do let me know if you have any questions on that. I would love to share more about it. In the video, thank you so much. I really appreciate your love and support. I love you. I'm very grateful that you made it to the end of this video. I hope that you're having a wonderful day or evening, and I will catch you next time. Thank you for watching. Bye.